Friday. We are heading into NFL playoffs tomorrow. We'll go in on that in the back end of this after we touch in on some NBA. A little bit of a rough night last night, just a kick in the balls from the Memphis Grizzlies. They had a lead for a good amount of the game. When you're taking 13 points, usually you feel pretty good about that. They just let it slip late. Got absolutely crushed in the fourth quarter by 20 points, and that'll blow a cover. So tough beat there with the Memphis Grizzlies. As far as the other loser on the night, the Utah Jazz, hottest team in basketball, can't keep it going for us. We do pull out a winner last night, but just a little bit of a bad beat there from Memphis to take it from an even night to a losing night there, John.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. It's getting old. Our man E. Bizzle, one of our members, actually put it in our chat. Memphis had a 95% chance, according to Action Network, with less than 4 minutes left to cover the game. You go into the fourth quarter up 5, taking 13. We got to get these home. So the whole methodology of what I do, when we're talking about beating numbers, okay, you're going to have a large percentage of the games around the number. So when you're beating that closing number, as we did today, when I give you the numbers on the games we beat today and how we lose, it's almost impossible, although we are having by far our worst NBA season ever in my over 40 years. But getting back to the point, when you've got these games and they come down to the number, these are your 50-50 games that the books are going to split. The favorite's going to win 50%. The dog's going to win 50%. We're supposed to win 60% of these 50-50 games because we're beating the number on them. We're losing 70-30 on those games. So besides, we have an under game last night, the Nets, which that's a clear winner. That's not a 50-50 game. But the games, you've got Raptors up 109-108, 2 minutes left, taking 2.5. That's a 50. That's even a little more 50-50. We're supposed to win that game. Win or lose by 1 or 2, take it 2.5. We lose that game. The Jazz blowout, not a blowout, but OKC comfortable lead most of the way, but Jazz climbing back into it. So maybe that's a little less than a 50-50. Just don't get there. I think we missed our last 3 shots to have a shot at the cover. And then the Memphis game, that's not a 50-50.
No.
That's a 19. It's a 19-1 shot when you're up if you've got 95%. And so instead of winning 60-40 of the 50-50s, we're literally losing 70% of the 50-50s. Again, when you're beating the number, today we're going to talk about the numbers that we've beat on games. Just mathematically doesn't make sense, and that's what gambling is. When you boil it all down, it's numbers. With that being said, we're going to just keep punching, just keep beating the numbers the way we do. And I guess with that being said, Ben, let's get started on what today's NBA looks like.
Yeah, guys, 3 sides that numbers all absolutely crushed. Well, 2 sides.
Right away, I broke out the old "How to Beat the Bookie" shirt just to change things around here a little bit.
Hey, it was whatever it takes right now. We'll take it. This top game on the card, Spurs at the Hornets. No Victor Wembanyama tonight. Front end of a back-to-back for San Antonio. They're resting him on this end of it. They have the Spurs team who's playing good ball. They got crushed the first 2 games of this trip. And then you have this Hornets team who's just been struggling lately. They have lost 6 straight. They haven't covered any of those. 1-17 their last 18. 2 of your worst teams in the NBA. Very interesting spot, though, for the Hornets. You have they played last week in LaMelo's first game back last Friday. Spurs crushed them by 36 points in San Antonio. Hornets had won the prior 5 meetings. So this is revenge. This is a little spot back to get back here. LaMelo, obviously, a couple games under his belt. He looked pretty solid last game. Would be Hornets or nothing in my eyes in this game. A bit steeper of a number that I want to lay, but we'll be looking for Hornets or nothing.
Just getting this in. Mark Andrews not expected to play. Tight end for Baltimore. We'll get into that NFL later. So, yeah, as Ben said, he would get This titanic matchup of two of the worst teams in the NBA, San Antonio and Charlotte. San Antonio absolutely destroyed them in San Antonio in Melo's first game back. They won't have Wembanyama tonight. The Spurs, he'll sit on the front end of the back-to-back. This would be you would think, a revenge game. And I see it like that also. Just Charlotte's been pitiful. San Antonio looked like they were starting to make some progress till these last couple of games. They lost by a combined 29 points. Before that, they had covered five or six on the road in a row. Charlotte, they've lost 6 straight up and against the spread. And in the last 3, since Ball has returned, they've lost by a combined 73 points. So not getting any better with Ball in the lineup. That being said, 1-17, 6-12 against the spread their last 18. Tough to lay any kind of points with Charlotte. Yeah. You've got Miller questionable. Williams, the center, has been out forever. And Richards, the guy who's been playing center, he's also questionable today. Want no part of this game. We'll wait. We'll re-rate these two terrible teams after watching it. But I could see the revenge angle prior to getting wiped out. Hornets had won 5 straight meetings against them. So I could see that, and I could see with no Wembanyama, but Charlotte's just not been playing good enough for me to want to lay points, especially with a couple of extra guys questionable. They are one of the thinnest teams. Remember, Hayward also another guy out on the injured list.
We got 76ers taking a trip down to Orlando. They're coming off that big win against the Nuggets. And Embiid, another big night, 41 points, 10 assists. Did snap that streak with the 10-plus rebounds, 30-plus points, though. You have this Sixers team on the road this year, pretty solid. You look a little closer, though. Embiid, a lot of these games he missed have been road games. He has not played a true road game, I believe, since early mid-December, so over a month now. They are 8-1, 7-2 against the spread in the 9 road games they've played in with Embiid. And then you have this Orlando team that couldn't get the win, but of course it was against the Hawks, so they got the cover the other night. Banchero, he had a brutal game, shot 8 for 25 in that one. This Magic team, much better at home this season. Matchup history is all Philly, 12-1, 10-3 against the spread the last 13 meetings, 6 straight in Orlando by an average of 15.5 points. Got this number in at 4, John, and it's up to 5 last I saw.
And this is the least of the games that we beat, that it's only moved a point. 4-5. We laid this yesterday as soon as the lines came out. 76ers absolutely own this series. 76ers are 23-6. That's over 79% in the games that Embiid has played. That would be good enough to have the best record in the NBA. They've been phenomenal. I mean, absolutely phenomenal with Embiid in the lineup. Orlando's been really great at home, overachieving at home. Franz Wagner's been out 7 games now. The last 5, they're 1-4, being held to 98 points per game. They're just not scoring. Again, Philly's owned this series, totally dominated. We laid 4, numbers 5. What else can we say? We like Philly here.
Then we got Nuggets at Boston, the reigning champs versus the current best record in the NBA. You have Nuggets coming off that loss at Philly. Jokic, he had a solid game there. Denver just 2-5 against the spread their last 7, 7-14 against the spread on the road. And you have this Boston team. They won 3 straight by an average of 20 points. Last victim was the Spurs. They've just been elite at home. No other way to put it. 20-0, 13-7 against the spread. There's actually a prop, I believe it's DraftKings that has it, plus 4,000 if anyone believes that Boston can go undefeated at home this season. It's a tough one. It hasn't been done. We'll see if they can pull it off. As far as this matchup history, home teams had some success. Celtics, they had won the 6 prior meetings before losing at Denver last year. 4 straight in Boston, 3-1 against the spread. And we crushed the number on this one, John.
I think I don't know if it was here or on Instagram yesterday, but when I told you guys this line would be 7. Do you know what the line is, guys? It's 7. Nope. This is what a handicapper is. Not a guy that's picking games out of thin air. Line is 7. The first line came out on DraftKings was 4.5. We obviously laid that. And then I've got Unfortunately, my man Tex in the chat, he lives in Texas. He doesn't have a FanDuel or DraftKings available to him down there. And he's asking to lace if he should lace 7 today. No, Tex, that's what we make the line. Look, I can't help you guys that don't have access. But all I can do is tell the guys that do. And we're going to keep beating the numbers like this. We laid 4.5. This game is 7. Look, Boston, undefeated. Don't get any better than undefeated. Denver, second worst against the spread road record this year. They're an overlay because of the championship last year. Now, common sense says, hey, Boston's got to lose at some point. Who better than the reigning champs to beat them? And that might happen. It's just the wrong line. Guys, get the concept of how we bet. We're betting the line, not the teams. The line cannot be 4.5, as proven. This isn't all squares moving an NBA game 2.5 points in the morning. The line should have been 7. What I told you yesterday, that's what it is now.
Yeah, interested to see this matchup with Porzingis. This is part of why Boston went and got their big man. A lot of good bigs in the league who've been running things lately. Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, and this is where Porzingis is going to have a bigger game defensively. We'll see how that goes, but obviously line is crushed. Next matchup, Suns at New Orleans. Suns coming off that crazy come-from-behind win against Sacramento, 32-5 run to get that one there. Then you have this Pelicans team coming off a big win against the Hornets. Ingram rocks up with a triple-double. They've been playing fantastic basketball, 7-3 straight up against the spread their last 10. This is a tough one. The Pelicans won both meetings in New Orleans last year. Home team won all 4 meetings. This would be Pelicans or nobody in my eyes. I want to see if they bring this thing down closer to a PK. Don't want to see if I can lay any points or any juice in this one. Opened up around 2.5, come back down 1.5. Goes any lower, would be interested in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Ben. I think it's just a touch too low. Still not sold on Phoenix. Now, let's see if that 32-5 run to get the win against Sacramento turns this Phoenix team around. Phoenix is going to score. Can they play any day? That's still what we're waiting. Now, they did get some defense, obviously, by slowing down the Kings in that 32-5 run. Pelicans, they have been playing great ball. Brain fought in their final game on that road trip with Dallas. They sit all their star players and get the win. They're deep enough to get the win against Dallas in the first of the 2-game set and then bring everybody back and then lose. That's just that. This is what we talk about, overlooking teams, last of a trip. All those things came in. They overlooked Dallas without Luka. They had just beat them without their stars. They're going home the next day. That day, that was the last of a trip. All those things came into play. They lost. They came with a better game, absolutely crushed Charlotte. Not saying much, but now we'll see how they stand. These are the next 2 teams in the pecking order for me. Clippers, Denver, Mini, OKC. These are the next 2 teams in that West. Who's going to make that leap to the top 4? And tonight will go a long way into seeing who that better team is.
We have Hawks at Miami. Atlanta gets the win, does not cover against the Magic. Murray, he had a great night. This Atlanta team, 10-30 against the spread this season. Now worst pace ever in 30 years as far as against the spread through 40 games. Trae Young, he's questionable tonight. And you have this Miami Heat team coming off a disgusting game against the Raptors. They couldn't hit water, falling out of a boat in that one. Jaquez remains out. Love, he's questionable. Matchup history favors Miami, 7-2, but just 5-4 against the spread. 8-1, 6-3 against the spread in the last 9 in Miami. Trae Young, he's questionable, and that helped us out here. Got the total at 234.5, was already trickling down. Trae Young info, he's questionable, and that sent us down. Biggest move of the day, down 227, 226.5 in some spots, Sean.
Trickling. Plunging. I mean, 234.5, and this game right now sitting at 227 and even going lower. Here's your perfect storm. Again, we were on this game regardless of the Trae Young info. Atlanta has been trending under. We were on the under with them the other night when they were up against the Magic. So they've been trending under. Let me just pull up their stats. Their last 4 games all have gone under at 219.5. Heat just playing dead under. In 3 of their last 4, they've scored under 100, and their opponents have scored under 100, and they're averaging 198.8 points per game. Their last 3 meetings combined have gone under 227, under, and now you come up with Trae questionable. Now, the only thing that will happen if Trae Young does come into the game, is upgraded to probable, it'll tick back up a little bit. Right now, I've got this line actually going lower, 226.5 as we speak. If Young is out, it'll tick down even a little more. But again, even if Young is in, we still like the the number that we went under. When you beat numbers by 7 points,
yeah,
we're supposed to know what we're doing, and I think we do.
Yeah, great bet there. Hopefully our Massive Edge members, the ones with DraftKings, able to get in on that with us. And to our guy Tex out in Texas, sorry, man, relocate or something. I don't know what to tell you.
Look, I'm not saying I would do this, but, you might know somebody in another state that has a DraftKings account. There are ways
100%
to go around it. So good luck, Tex.
We got Pacers going on to Portland. Pacers back-to-back. How about that win last night at Sacramento? Shot 55%. All the trades, all the issues, everything going on. They still pull it out. Halliburton, everyone's questionable in this one. Siakam's questionable in this one. Really hard to give you guys too much insight on this game. I mean, do we have a Pacers starting lineup, or is this going to be another depth game like last night? So waiting to see on that. As far as Portland, they've been playing a bit better at home lately. 6-2 against the spread their last 8 home games. Got to see how high this number goes, depending on who's in here for Indiana. If it's Halliburton's first game's back, Siakam's first game with the Pacers, could be open to a pretty big price here with the home dog. Just a lot of new stuff going on for the Pacers.
Yeah, Siakam will play tonight. Brown was cleared. He played last night for Toronto. So Siakam could have played yesterday, but he will play tonight. Halliburton, still a question mark. I'm sure he wanted to play last night. And they upgraded him to questionable. That was his old team, Sacramento. So he didn't play last night. Going to lead me to think against the Portland team, maybe they don't need him. Maybe they give him another day. So Halliburton, look, this is your key now. With the Siakam trade, they feel Halliburton and Siakam can get them there. So I don't know if they're going to bring him back. He's going to be questionable. The difference, let me just show you guys, when we're talking about ratings with guys. So Indiana leads the NBA scoring 125.6 points per game. In the 5 games now without Halliburton, they're averaging 113.6. This is why, guys, the Stars mean what they mean to the team. So Pacers get it done last night. They traded Brown, no Nembhard, no Naismith. Halliburton still out, and they still beat Sacramento. Indiana Pacers, the deepest team in the NBA. They lead in bench scoring, hit 50 a game out of their bench.
Crazy.
So we'll see who's playing tonight. But we expect Siakam to make his return. Halliburton, a legit question mark. So is Nembhard. So is Naismith. So on a back-to-back, if you're still missing the other 3 guys, again, you're deep, but you take 3 guys off, and you're not so deep anymore. Portland, a big win. Their last game against the Nets, a buzzer beater by Simons. They should get Ayton back. He was scheduled to come back the last game. He couldn't get to the game due to ice or travel concerns. So we'll see what happens with this tonight. I think the number at 5.5 is the right number with Siakam in, everybody else out. If Halliburton, anybody else gets upgraded to probable, the number should be and will go higher.
The last game on the NBA slate, Nets at the Lakers next, coming off that loss at Portland. Now 1-9, 0-10 against the spread. Their last 10 road games, the only win on that was at Detroit. Lakers coming off a great game against Dallas, clicking on all cylinders. LeBron and AD played fantastic. D'Angelo Russell had a big game with 29 points. That was them looking like clicking on all cylinders. They're now 4-1, 3-2 against the spread the last 5 at home. They did split meetings last year, home team won each. This is Lakers or nobody. This is a big number. This feels like your typical game where the Lakers win. The road team would cover within this big number. Just can't back the Nets right now, and it's hard to do. 0-10 against the spread the last 10 road games. I'm not going to try to catch that falling knife. Lakers are nothing here.
No, absolutely. Just don't want nothing to do with the Nets right now. Just cannot be how this team turned around, how they started the season and where they are now. Ben Simmons is the only difference. He's out. He cannot possibly be this big of a difference. Just a totally different team. Lakers seem to have hit rock bottom and now climbing up these last couple of wins. I like the way they're playing. This comes along with putting Russell back in the starting lineup. He actually led the team in scoring in the last game. So it looks like this will be the lineup they stick with. It's Russell, Reeves, AD, obviously, LeBron, and Prince. They've got Hachimura is back. He gives them a little something off the bench. If they could just steal Murray from Atlanta, they could make some noise, the Lakers. I mean, I honestly feel that. As the way the team is built right now, up to a 7-point favorite. Line was 6.5. It was a borderline play for me just because the Nets were playing so bad. But just as Ben said, this is the typical game that the Lakers will be behind. That's notoriously slow starters.
Yep.
Here's a game that at halftime, if it's a little closer, the Lakers are down a little bit, we might look to obviously, depending on the flow of the game, might look to catch the Lakers at that point.
And as you guys know, a lot of questionables, a lot of injuries, and always halftime bets. If you guys want all that information throughout tonight and the weekend, because we're not here on the weekend, make sure you sign up on our app or go to massaedge.com, sign up there, become a member. You guys will get updated on all this info throughout the weekend. And let's talk a little bit about this weekend, John. We got the NFL divisional round coming up. We got 4 playoff games coming our way. Saturday, the 2-1 seeds. Big numbers, both looking at 9.5 spreads right there. Obviously, we got the news. Mark Andrews not going to be there for Baltimore. Likely, though, he's been pretty phenomenal for them down the stretch. So not as big of a hit as usual, but still a hit to the team. This big numbers. Are we just looking at both favorites here coming out? As you know, age-old questions you said earlier in the week, rest versus rust. How much is that going to affect these teams? And then we have 2 young quarterbacks coming off monster games. Are they going to be able to replicate that against the first and third team in the NFL in points allowed?
Well, Houston and C.J. Stroud get a break. One of the top covers, Humphrey, he's going to be out for Baltimore. They just came out with that this morning. He was questionable. They're going to need more than that. This is a big number, and it's a big number for a reason. Houston has basically played 2 playoff games, having to win, excuse me, at Indianapolis, week 18, the final week, to get into the playoffs and then knock off Cleveland as a home dog. So the 3rd playoff game in a row while you have a rested Baltimore team come in. And look, Baltimore and Buffalo are the best team in the AFC. Mm-hmm. Buffalo at the end has been phenomenal. So I've got them right there, 1A and 1B. We'll call it for the time being. But Baltimore, bad weather is going to help the run game. And that's what Baltimore does better than anybody else. So we're going to check on the weather. Even with Humphrey out, we figure Stroud will have a tougher time passing in bad weather in Baltimore. So we'll be on top of that weather report.
Yeah, as of right now, that's the highest winds of the weekend. 17-mile-an-hour winds we're looking at in Baltimore. A little bit chilly there as well. We'll see how that affects that game. Going to be interesting. C.J. Stroud, the way he played them in week 1, he gets a little redemption arc here as well. Ravens lead the league in sacks and turnovers forced. Obviously, Houston takes care of the ball exceptionally well, so going to be interesting to see that matchup. And then Green Bay, San Fran. I mean, this Packers team, they go on the road, they get a big win at Dallas. Obviously, San Francisco is a tier above the Cowboys in pretty much every aspect. This San Francisco team, here's the question. They started off the year covering left and right. They hit their slow patch a little bit. 0-5 against the spread. Their last 5 home games, one of those, maybe you don't want to necessarily count. It was week 18. No starters played in that one against the Rams. And then Green Bay, just their last 9 games here. A little bit trending opposite directions. San Francisco, just as far as covering numbers. I mean, you got to keep in mind some of this. They were 13.5-point favorites. The number close against Tampa Bay. They win by 13. So it's not like they're necessarily close games, big numbers. But again, another big number here in this game. If this ticks back up to 10, would be worth a look at Green Bay at 9.5 for me. I would have to completely stay away from this one.
Yeah, look, like another game, big number and warranted. We've talked about it. Green Bay, 4th road game in 5 weeks.
Yep.
And 49ers, same situation as Baltimore because they had already clinched the number 1 seed. They rested all their guys in week 18. So their starters basically have 2 weeks off, week 18, last week with the bye. So you've got a rested San Francisco team that, to me, is still the best team in the NFL despite the loss at home to the Ravens. I just think they've got so many weapons. Ben has constantly made a point of this is the worst quarterback of the 8 teams remaining. Yep. And I don't think there's any question about it. It's just that he's got so much surrounded him. Look, if they had a Tom Brady type quarterback, there wouldn't even be lines on these games. That's how good San Francisco would be. But both sides of the ball, just phenomenal. How much pressure will Bosa and Young be able to get on Love? I'm thinking we're going to be seeing a lot of these off the back foot throws and stuff. Yeah. Look, I get it that's part of this kid's game. And maybe you get away with that, but at some point, those 50-50 throws are going to go the other way. This might be the week it comes crashing down for Green Bay. 4th and 5 on the road is very tough to overcome. A big win at Dallas. They finished real strong. Look, I'm not laying the points. Just find no reason to take this. It would have to go over 10 for me to even be interested in looking at Green Bay.
Yeah, not a big prop guy, but have to be worth a look to Christian McCaffrey here, as square as that is. Just Green Bay bottom 5 as far as rushing yards allowed. Obviously, McCaffrey leads the league in rushing yards, tied with Mostert for touchdowns. Could be a big game for him. And that's going to be, the Packers, I guess, path as far as having success. Credit to LaFleur for doing this in Dallas. They won the toss, and they said, hey, we want to receive. They get the ball. They go score early. They're going to have to do something similar here to San Francisco and try to eliminate, how much San Fran can run all over them, try to make Purdy throw more and hope he makes those mistakes because maybe that'll give him a chance there if they can win the turnover battle. Sunday slate, we got one pretty good game, one phenomenal game, the night game of the week. Everyone's excited for Chiefs and Bills. Let's start here with the earlier game, Tampa Bay at Detroit. Baker Mayfield gets a nice win there over Philly. He has a big night, 337, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They met earlier this year. Detroit goes on into Tampa. They get a win. They hold the Bucs down to 6 points. Weird matchup as far as the total as well. John and I talked on it a little bit yesterday. This Lions team, they stop the run. That's what they do. They stop the run. Tampa Bay, dead last in running. So going to be 2 teams, similar identities in that way. Are we going to get a lot of throwing the football? Will either team be able to break away from that identity? And we've been sitting on this line all week waiting for a 7 to pop up.
Yeah, 7's my number here. As Ben said, you got a Tampa Bay team that can't run the ball and a Lion team that stops the ball. Okay, simple deduction. Baker Mayfield's going to have to beat them through the air. I think Detroit knows that. They'll come after him. Watch out for that kid named Hutchinson. Let's see how this one boils down. Just 7 points would just be enough for me. Tampa Bay's been playing real good football. They had that one hiccup with the Saints at home that week, but they've been monstrous on the road. A great run on the road. 7's just enough for me to take as far as I'm concerned to make this game interesting. We'll see where this one lies. It's been inching up right now. I'm looking at 6.5 minus 18. DraftKings 6.5 minus 15 at Bet Online. So we're just a little bit away. We'll see if we get that one.
Game of the week, Chiefs at the Bills. Chiefs coming off that win there against the Dolphins. Defense looked good as ever. Obviously, the conditions helped them a little bit. And then you have this Buffalo team who's just down the stretch of the season has been absolutely stellar. They look good there against Pittsburgh. Allen with the big rush in that game, just showing firing all cylinders. Last 5 meetings, all in KC. They finally come back to Buffalo in this one. Is this the game where Josh Allen and the Bills finally get their playoff revenge? Or is it the same story? Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL, it's one of the best coaches, and now one of the best defenses, walks on into Buffalo and gets to win the first time they met there in the playoffs. his first true road game technically. I'm going to consider his Super Bowl at Tampa a road game, considering they're playing a Bucs, but this would be his first true road game for the playoffs. How do you think that's going to affect him, John? And we're still waiting on a 3 here. A couple of spots have it, but not a full 3 everywhere yet.
So Buffalo went up 21-0 against the Steelers in the second quarter, and when they did, FanDuel put the line up at 3 minus 105, meaning if you wanted to take 3, you laid 115 with KC. I took that, I put it in my story on Instagram, and I said for my Massa Edge members, you guys know I make Buffalo 2.7 points better at home than KC. That was the line then. That's the line now. That's the line, guys. 2.7. A little better than 2.5, but not quite 3. That's the line. That's how good my ratings are. These games were still going on when those ratings were up there. I think that's what the number is. Buffalo's home for the second week in a row. But you got to remember, they played Casey's had the extra days because Buffalo game was moved to Monday due to that snowstorm that they cost us the total on, which I'm still burning over that decision. That was a horrible betting decision. But look, the guy's line is 2.7 points. I don't care how you shake it down. This is just too much of a tough one to pull a trigger on. Look, all the NFL games this weekend, guys. Outside of the Tampa Bay game, it's the only one I see a little bit of an edge in. It becomes really tough. Now, I know guys want picks at the end of the year. It's playoffs. I'm sorry. I bet when there's an edge. I tell you guys all the time, I don't bet for entertainment. Yeah, I want to have a bet and watch the KC Buffalo game. But if I don't have an edge in it, I'll watch it as a fan and I'll watch it as an expert and make the ratings for the next week. That's how you do it. So right now on this one, I don't foresee me having a bet.
4 games right now this NFL weekend, guys. Currently no bets on any of them. I told you looking at Tampa Bay, and as always, could be some halftime lines that open up for us over the weekend. We could be looking to get in on some halftime bets for the NFL playoffs. You guys want to be a part of that? Check out the app. Check out the website. A little bit of a shaky day yesterday, John, but we got 3 games today so far. All 3 games, monster moves. One of them as big as 7. So hopefully we can get a good Friday
again, Ben. Say it again. 7. We beat a line by 7 points, and we still not making fucking money every day. It's just crazy.
Up 7 points. You guys want to be a part of those moves. We're due for a big run here sooner or later. We had some big days earlier in the week. We're going to have a big Friday night and hopefully a big weekend. And appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously not here on the weekends, but Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Like, comment, subscribe below. Let's make some money, John.
Let's make some money.